Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video this morning I am going to be talking with you a bit more about Manchester City. So I do believe from my own perception that Pep Guardiola will leave Manchester City this summer if Manchester City don't get their 2-year ban from the Champions League overturned. Now obviously it did get revealed out yesterday that, Manchester City have been banned from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons, for breaking financial fair play rules. Now, of course, not only this, Manchester City have also paid £25 million. They've been fined £25 million. More than likely Manchester City will appeal against the decision. Also Man City will throw a lot of money, at the appeal. But I think the appeal, will be a long process. So it could take weeks, it could take months. We might not know until the summer. But if Manchester City appeal does become unsuccessful, that means, the 5th place team will qualify into the Champions League. And I think, a lot of people have got the same perception as me, if City don't get their, 2-year ban for the Champions League overturned, that Pep Guardiola, will walk away from Manchester City this summer. Also, they could see quite a few of their key players leave. Now, I was also reading The Independent yesterday about this, and it also said that Man City could have points deducted from them in the Premier League. So this is what it has said. And there's been talk saying the likes of, Kevin De Bruyne could be moved on in the summer, because obviously a player of that calibre wants to be in Champions League football. But, Pep Guardiola was coming out, this was before the ban occurred, and he was saying if Manchester City don't win the Champions League this season, he could be sacked as Manchester City manager. Now, obviously, Manchester City have got Real Madrid in the Champions League, which is going to be a very difficult game for them. So this is what Pep Guardiola was saying. So obviously, of course, Pep Guardiola is into his 4th season now at Manchester City. Of course, Pep Guardiola has won 7 major honours with Man City. He has won over 100-odd games in the Premier League. And of course, last season City won the domestic treble. They won the title the season before. They was hoping this season they could have won their 3rd title on the trot. But obviously now that's not going to happen. They are still going to get some silverware on the board this season. I think they're going to win the Carabao Cup. There's also a chance they can win the FA Cup. But Pep Guardiola has revealed that he wants to win the Champions League with Manchester City, because Manchester City have not won the Champions League in their history. That's the only trophy that Manchester City have not won. The last time Pep Guardiola won the Champions League is when he was at Barcelona. So I do believe if they don't get this, ban, overturned, I think Pep Guardiola will leave in the summer. And now, according to reports, Mauricio Pochettino is favourite to take over at Manchester City. So reflecting on this news, like I said on my video yesterday night, it's very, very good news for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Also, very good news for the likes of Sheffield United, Everton, Chelsea, also to Liverpool. So it is a very, very good news. And reflect on this could have saved Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job at Manchester United. I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be gone in the summer if Manchester City can get this ban overturned. Well, I said it depends how long it takes, to process, the appeal and that. But if obviously it doesn't get overturned, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be at Manchester United next season. I definitely do believe that. But, City, give their overarching view on it. They said they're not surprised by the decision, but all they've said is, they have put an appeal in for this, and yeah, they have put an appeal in for this. And, of course, City, will be very, very disappointed about this and that. But, like I said, City, were nothing about 9 or 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, in the last 4 or 5 years or so, they have been very, very dominant. And obviously, they are still regarded as one of the best teams in England. Obviously, Pep Guardiola has spent a lot of money at Manchester City. I think he spent over £1 billion in his managerial career. But more than half of that £1 billion has been, spent on that Manchester City team. And I did say, they have bought, they have purchased their success of Man City, but have they been cheating, for the vast majority of their success? Now, you'll get a lot of our fans complaining, You know, also a lot of Liverpool fans complain. I think Man United and Liverpool fans are demanding, you know, City to get points deducted from them in the Premier League. But yeah, I think Guardiola will be on his way in the summer, you know, if this cannot be, you know, overturned. You know, regarding Mauricio Pochettino, obviously, you know, he came out and said, you know, he wants an immediate return to management. Well, he said this reflecting on his sacking from Tottenham last season, that he wants an immediate return to management. Obviously, you know, he said he'd love to stay in the Premier League, you know, with Pochettino. Obviously, he has been favourite to take over at Manchester United, and he's obviously, you know, held negotiations with us. But now, you know, this ban has occurred. You know, he could be on his way to Manchester City in the summer, could Pochettino. I still want Pochettino at Manchester United, definitely, because he's a very, very good manager. You know, he's well proven in the Premier League. He enjoyed 5.5 good years with Tottenham. You know, before he was at Tottenham, he was at Southampton, and he enjoyed a short tenure with Southampton. And before then, he was at Espanyol with Mauricio Pochettino. But yeah, you know, he has been in negotiations with the football club as Pochettino, because obviously, like I said, you know, he was the favourite to take over at Man United, because Solskjaer has been under intense pressure this season, because we have enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So we haven't had as bad a start to a season as this since 1989. Of course, since Solskjaer got the job on a permanent basis, you know, we have lost more games in the Premier League than we've won. So his record is actually, you know, disastrous. But I've got to say, I think Solskjaer now will be here next season, you know, due to this, unless this, you know, 2-year ban from the Champions League gets overturned. But otherwise, I think he will be Manchester United manager next season, like I mentioned. But obviously, you know, before this ban occurred and that, you know, obviously we had, you know, said we'd sack Solskjaer on one condition, and that's if we fail to finish within the top 6 this season, and of course if we fail to qualify for Europe. But as it stands at the moment, you know, Manchester United can finish fifth, you know, to get Champions League football in the bag. So yeah, but I'd still like Manchester United this season to finish in the top 4, you know, just to make sure anywhere. You know, and obviously that game on Monday against Chelsea, you know, could possibly decide who finishes in the top 4 this season. But, you know, Solskjaer's a very, very lucky man. You know, I'm surprised he's lasted, you know, up until this point, because he has been at Manchester United over the years as Solskjaer. You know, he's been here, 14 months. He's been permanent boss for around 11 months. But I think, you know, Man United have made a hell of a lot of mistakes in the last 6 or 7 years. And this is one of the main explanations why we've been so inconsistent. But, you know, the mistake we did make was not recommending Mauricio Pochettino in after the sacking of Jose Mourinho in December 2018. We should have got Pochettino in then. But obviously, you know, we decided to go with Solskjaer. Our preference was Solskjaer for a couple of reasons, because he was a cheaper solution. And plus, you know, he knows the club inside out. And, you know, Solskjaer did really, really well when he was the interim manager. So this is why we're giving the job on a permanent basis. But Solskjaer was lucky to get the job in the first place as the interim manager. You know, he was very, very lucky. Of course, he did sign a 3-year contract. He's got I think he's got about 2, or is it 2.5 years left now on his current deal. But I'm still very sceptical that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, we'll see out the remainder of his 2.5-year deal at Manchester United. I am very, very sceptical, unless, you know, we can dramatically improve. But I just don't think, you know, he's the right manager for Manchester United. So yeah, you know, I think Pochettino could possibly go to Man City if Pep Guardiola, you know, does go this summer. You know, they might have a few, you know, managers on their agenda, Man City. But, you know, Pep Guardiola is regarded as one of the best managers in the world. You know, he is, you know, reflecting on, you know, the amount of trophies he's won. He's also got a fantastic pedigree, he's Pep Guardiola. And he's as good as he is, like I mentioned yesterday, because of Marcelo Bielsa, because he worked with Marcelo Bielsa, you know, of course, when he was younger and that. But yeah, so, you know, do you think, you know, they can get this overturned? Like I said, Manchester City will throw a lot of money at this, and there's nothing much really more to update about that. You know, obviously, you saw my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference yesterday, you know, building up to the Man United-Chelsea game on, you know, Monday. Obviously, you know, he provided us with some news regarding Paul Pogba, McTominay, Tuanzebe, Fosu Mensah. Also reacted to, you know, Fred's interview that he gave in Brazil not too long ago. and obviously, I'll give you the update with the criminal issue at Mulder and stuff, So it's going to be interesting to see how Solskjaer approaches this game against Chelsea. Of course, Paul Pogba isn't going to be involved. Paul Pogba, the earliest we're looking at him back is for the Manchester derby on the 8th of March, which is a couple of weeks away. That's the earliest, we're looking at Paul Pogba being back. Solskjaer did say last month that Paul Pogba, was expected back, some point this month. But obviously now that is not the case. He's recovering well, 1 month after, he had the surgery on his ankle, his Paul Pogba, which is very, very good news. And when he does get back into the team, that will be very beneficial because we'll look much better in that midfield. Paul Pogba's only played around 8 games this season, due to injuries he's had. He hasn't played since Boxing Day. He hasn't started a game since September, But Paul Pogba said at the moment he's focusing on getting Manchester United back into the Champions League. We know that Paul Pogba is one of the players that's leaving Man United in the summer. He is going in the summer, is Paul Pogba. He has revealed this. He's already told our teammates he's going in the summer. I think Man United have quoted out that they want around £83 million, so that's around £6 million less than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016, because we paid £89 million in from Juventus back in 2016, so he is our most expensive signing. So yeah, we said we want around £83 million in the summer. He come out yesterday, Pogba, and said, he does want the move to Juventus, this summer, so he could be reuniting with Juventus. And Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, came out and he said, that Italy is a second home for Paul Pogba. But, we can afford to lose Paul Pogba if we can get, Jack Grealish in and we can get James Maddison in. I think Ed Woodward has said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can recommend 2 midfielders in as, the replacement for Paul Pogba. But, we're going to generate a substantial amount for his departure. We're also, going to free up our wage bill a bit, because Paul Pogba is on around 290 grand a week at the club. He's got like a year left on his contract with the option to extend it by a further year. But analysing the vast majority of Pogba's performances since he rejoined, they have been totally comparison to his ones in Turin, because Pogba did enjoy 4 good years in Turin, definitely. Pogba, there was also a lot of talks about him leaving under Mourinho, because obviously, he enjoyed a bad relationship with Mourinho. I think the club made a mistake getting rid of him when he was younger. Last summer he didn't go to Real Madrid, Pogba, but he could have done. But he was reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him. We wanted about 160 million. Real Madrid were reluctant to pay that. But Pogba's now got the same perception as what he had at the beginning of last summer, because he said at the beginning of last summer that he wants to leave Manchester United. So yeah, he's not going to be playing any part in this game against Chelsea. Odion Ighalo, Solskjaer provided us with some news regarding him. He's assured that Odion Ighalo will make the trip to London. He will be involved, but he has failed to say, whether Odion Ighalo will be making his debut for Manchester United. Of course, we've got him in on loan until the end of the season. We've paid around £3 or £4 million. For Odion Ighalo, there is no option to buy. I don't think Manchester United will make the deal permanent from my own perception. Man United are paying around a third of his wages. I think we need to put Odion Ighalo in that number 9, because obviously he's fighting for Anthony Martial's role. So I think we need to drop Anthony Martial completely, or just revert him back to the left-hand side, because that left-hand side is Martial's predominant position anywhere. It's only been this season, out of the 5 years he's been here, that he's been operating in that number 9, Anthony Martial. But if he does continue with the bad run of performances, I would consider, getting rid of Anthony Martial in the summer. But yeah, he's becoming a liability. Definitely is Anthony Martial. People say he's not getting enough service. He looks totally exposed. But, he's had some good spells as a Man United player. But I think one of his best, seasons was his debut season when Louis van Gaal recommended him in. So he has received a lot of criticism as well as Martial. And obviously, McTominay, he was part of the warm weather training camp in Spain. But and he's stepping up his fitness regime. But despite that, he's not ready for Chelsea's McTominay. But it'll also be beneficial when he comes back, because, before he was injured, McTominay, I thought, he did really, really well, for Man United. And same with Fosu Mensah and Tuan Zebe. They were part of the warm weather training camp, but they didn't mainly join in. They've stepped their fitness regime up, but they're still not ready for this game against Chelsea. With Odion Ighalo, like I mentioned yesterday, he has been training alone. Obviously he hasn't trained with any of his teammates yet as Odion Ighalo, and this is what, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was currently saying. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer approaches the game. He will make some changes, I think, from the 0-0 draw against Wolves before the winter break. But, this is a must-win game for Man United against Chelsea. And, Solskjaer obviously, reacted to Fred's interview in Brazil. Fred come out with quite a few interesting points, and, he was saying, he was explaining, the various issues at Man United. He was also talking about the problems and the lack of unity in the squad, and Solskjaer responded to this and, said he doesn't understand, Fred's claims about, the lack of unity and his lack of squad unity. He doesn't really understand, and he says we'll stick together and don't worry about that. So generally, Solskjaer was just fully disregarded, what Fred has said. But yeah, this is a very, very big game against Chelsea. To be fair, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, we have had a very good record against Chelsea. We haven't lost to Chelsea since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in. I think we're unbeaten against them in our last 5 games in all competitions. We win this game against Chelsea, we are only 3 points behind top 4. Chelsea win this game now, on the other hand, we are 9 points behind top 4. We are 9 points behind top 4. If Chelsea win this current game. We're looking to beat Chelsea for the 3rd time this season, because we've already beaten them twice this season. We beat them 2-1 earlier on in the season in the Carabao Cup. We beat them 4-0 on the opening day of the season at Old Trafford. So yeah, we're looking to beat them for the 3rd time this season. And this is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 3rd meeting with Frank Lampard as managers. Solskjaer has already overcome Frank Lampard twice already, but we are winless in our last 3 games, and we haven't even scored in our last 3 games. So we've got to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. And of course, there's no Rashford for this game. Rashford's going to be out for at least the next couple of months, is Marcus Rashford. He's got a back injury, is Marcus Rashford, and he has been one of our best players this season. And obviously, you can say Odion Ighalo is a good cover-up, to Marcus Rashford, and a good alternative to Anthony Martial. We know also Bay's just recently come back, and so too has Fosu Mensah. Diego Dalot's just recently come back. So players are now coming back from injury, but we've had a lot of injuries this season, but that's not excusable for how inconsistent Manchester United have been. It's not excusable on that. Chelsea, from a Chelsea perspective, they'll be hopeful that, Christian Pulisic can be available for this game. Obviously, he's been out with injury. Of course, Chelsea have had a few injuries this season. Olivier Giroud's just recently come back. So too has Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Well, I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek, still out injured. Tammy Abraham's just recently come back. Reece James has just recently come back. They've got Marco Van Dingle out. Marco Alonso was out injured earlier on in the season. But Chelsea have been very inconsistent this season. Of course, Chelsea have just signed Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. Well, they're going to get him in the summer, obviously. They've paid around £38 million for him. And obviously, he's Frank Lampard's first signing as Chelsea manager. My own perception on Frank Lampard is that, I don't think he's the right manager for Chelsea. You want to make more investment in that. He isn't the right manager for Chelsea, though, because I think he's too inexperienced as a manager. Same perception on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in that aspect. Solskjaer is an inexperienced manager, but on the other hand, I thought Frank Lampard was a great long-serving player for Chelsea for 13 years. Same perception on Solskjaer. He was a great long-serving player for us for 11 years, but they are not good enough as managers. Solskjaer's in his first full season at Man United. You've got Lampard in his first, full season with Chelsea. But Lampard only began his managerial career last season with Derby, and he progressed Derby, to the playoff final. I think Chelsea in the summer as well won't only, expect more incomings. They also may consider getting rid of players. Don't forget last summer Chelsea lost one of their best players in Eden Hazard, and he enjoyed, 7 years with Chelsea. Very, very good player. At one point, Chelsea did have a transfer ban, but, obviously this transfer ban eventually, did get upheld, because the reason they got the transfer ban, was for tapping around minors. So that's the main reason. But, you know, like I mentioned, our record at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League is disastrous. You know, we haven't won at Stamford Bridge since 2012 in the Premier League. So that's like now 8 years ago. But yeah, it is Monday the game, 8 o'clock kickoff, and I am really looking forward to it. But I think we can get something. You know, like I've mentioned, we've done well against elite opposition this season, but we haven't really replicated it against lower opposition. You know, we've beaten Chelsea 4-0 on the opening day. We beat Leicester 1-0. We drew with Liverpool. We're the only team to take any points on Liverpool this season. We beat Man City. We beat Tottenham. So, you know, we can do it against elite opposition. You know, we can really do it in that. But, you know, Chelsea, you know, I've sacked a lot of managers in a short period of time, like I was saying to you yesterday. You know, they sacked Maurizio last season, despite the fact I, you know, won the Europa League with them and got them to the League Cup final. He only enjoyed one season with Chelsea. You know, obviously they got rid of Mourinho because of something to do with the club's doctor. You know, Conte went, despite the fact he won the Premier League in his first season. You know, Di Matteo, Gus Higgins, Rafa Benitez, Villas-Boas. You know, all the managers Chelsea have sacked, you know, in recent years. So, you know, Chelsea have sacked more managers than us in the last, 5 or 6 years or so, you know, because we've sacked 3 managers, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era, and Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. So the managers that have been sacked from us, obviously, you know, David Moyes got sacked after, you know, 10 months, 9 or 10 months, I think it was, or it might have been less than that. But he enjoyed the shortest tenure with the club, did David Moyes. You know, Moyes should have never came in the first place. Obviously, you know, that was the only mistake Ferguson did make, was recommending David Moyes in. You know, the main explanation why I recommended him in is because they were both Scottish. But obviously, you know, Moyes obviously, you know, brought 2 players in. You know, he spent around, £67 million at the club. You know, he brought Juan Mata in and Marion Fellaini in, obviously. You know, Juan Mata's still here, but obviously, you know, Fellaini left back in January 2019. Then obviously after Moyes went, you know, Van Gaal came in, you know, I think, was he at Man United like a year and a half? It was something like that anyway. You know, he did win the FA Cup with the club, but he wasn't the right manager for Manchester United. His philosophy wasn't right for the club. You know, the football was turgid. Obviously, you know, he recommended a lot of players in. They also got rid of a lot of players, Van Gaal. You know, Van Gaal brought the likes of Falcao, Di Maria. Some United fans will say we should have kept Di Maria because he enjoyed a great start to his career with Man United when he was here. You know, Morgan Schneiderlin, Sebastian Schweinsteiger, you know, Memphis Depay, you know, Martial obviously who's still here, Luke Shaw who's still here. So Van Gaal, you know, brought quite a lot of players in and, you know, spent like £258 million at the club on recruiting these players in. Then we got Mourinho in, you know, he enjoyed 2.5 years at Man United. He enjoyed the longest tenure with the club since the Ferguson era. He spent, you know, the most money. He spent like 400 or just under £400 million on, you know, 11 players. Did Jose Mourinho, you know, so he recruited a lot of players in, and you know, the vast majority of these players are Jose Mourinho's. So take into account, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inheriting them. Solskjaer is inheriting them, and obviously, you know, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in, he spent over £200 million because so far in 3 transfer windows, Solskjaer, you know, has recommended 5 new additions to the squad. Last summer, he recommended Daniel James in for 15 million. He brought Anwan Bissaka in for like 50 million, and he brought Harry Maguire in for £80 million. And obviously in the January transfer window, he brought Bruno Fernandes in for 68 million, and he brought Odin Igalo in, you know, on loan. But obviously, you know, Solskjaer is making plans for the summer transfer window. So reckon that up how much we've spent. I think we spent nearly £1 billion, or it is £1 billion on recruiting new players in the last 6 or 7 years. And you know, we've got the highest wage bill in the Premier League. We've recommended around 31 players in since the Alex Ferguson era. But reflects on the substantial amount we spent, you know, it hasn't got us nowhere in the last 6 or 7 years. But, you know, there's not only problems with the management at Manchester United, you know, not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer. I think we need to see a variety of changes at the club, you know. Obviously, a lot of the fans have got doubts about, you know, the chairman and, you know, the club's ownership. You know, we've also, you know, got a lot of doubts about the board because I think our board have been a liability for several years. You know, the Glazers need to go. And like I said, I think Ed Woodward needs to go because the Glazers, I think, have been they've owned this club since 2005 and they've generated a lot of money out of the club. You know, Ed Woodward's now been here, 8 years? He got recommended in 2012, and what's Ed Woodward done? You know, he's invested a lot of money into the club, obviously. Well, a lot of money's been invested into the club. You know, since Ed Woodward's been here. Obviously, you know, he's sacked 3 managers, like I mentioned, and I think we should have recommended a director of footballing last summer. Then in that aspect, you know, Ed Woodward could have moved away from the footballing decisions, and, you know, we needed a director of footballing because, you know, that's one of the structural changes that we need at the football club. You know, reflecting back last summer, there was quite a few former Manchester United players linked with that director's role at Manchester United, so take that into account. Also, Solskjaer's confirmed there will be more departures in the summer transfer window, so more players will leave in the summer, so we're going to generate more, you know, funds for their departures. Obviously, some of the players that left last summer, you know, have generated, you know, some funds. Obviously, you know, we got a substantial amount for Lukaku. You know, we got some money for Ashley Young leaving. Obviously, quite a few players as well went out on loan. Quite a few players as well went out on loan and that. But yeah, so we are making plans for the summer transfer window. As you all know, Ed Woodward came out and he's wrote a fans forum, and he came out and defended the club's recruitment policy, because a lot of people have been criticising the club's recruitment policy, and you know, he's basically said he'll back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with more transfers this summer, and this summer we've got to address the deficiencies in the squad. And, you know, we've got to get the right calibre players to Manchester United and that. But, you know, I think it did say recently that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to get around £274 million to spend this summer. I can't actually estimate how much Man United have got, but it is a lot. I can't estimate how much we've got, but we are going to spend a substantial amount this summer. You know, we have got a lot of players on our agenda who we could go in for in the summer. I think we're probably going to make around 2 or 3 signings in the summer. You know, if this, like I said, if this ban for Man City doesn't get overturned, I think Solskjaer will still be Manchester United manager in the summer. But the players we've got on our agenda is like Jadon Sancho, Jack Grealish. You know, we're still in for Jude Bellingham. You know, James Maddison. So they're the players, you know, that Man United, I think, are going to go in for in the summer. Obviously, you know, the players I think that need to go in the summer, like I've said to you, I think, you know, Phil Jones needs to be moved on. You know, too inconsistent. Matic needs to be moved on. You know, he's now back from suspension, by the way. He's too much of a liability. He's Matic, you know, Lingard, Pereira, you know, Luke Shaw, Martial, if he continues with the bad run of performances. So all them players I've just mentioned to you, you know, are liabilities at Manchester United. My overarching view on Pereira is that I think he's not good enough to represent the club. I think the only reason Pereira's been playing as many games as he has is due to the injury to Scott McTominay. But as soon as McTominay comes back, I think, you know, Pereira, you know, definitely, you know, will be dropped. And yeah, so I think the areas where Man United need to strengthen up is we need a right winger, and Jadon Sancho hopefully can come in the summer because he's predominantly a right winger. Obviously, he's going to cost us around £120 million, like, you know, Borussia Dortmund revealed. But I think he's definitely leaving Borussia Dortmund at the end of the season. So he could possibly be our first signing in the summer, could Sancho. You know, we need another midfielder at least, so hopefully we can get Jack Grealish in. You know, Jack Grealish has revealed he wants to come to Man United. You know, possibly need another centre-half in, someone who can go alongside Harry Maguire. Because despite, you know, that we got Harry Maguire last summer, you know, we are still conceding goals. I know Lindelof's done well, but, you know, I think he would be good as a backup, Lindelof, if he was to get another centre-half in. You know, possibly we need a left-back, because Luke Shaw's too inconsistent and he's very injury-prone. And, of course, Brandon Williams is now obviously anyway our first choice left-back, but Brandon Williams is still inexperienced, so take that into account. And, you know, possibly need a left winger. We need at least a striker. So, yeah, there's quite a few areas in the squad that do need to be currently addressed, definitely. And definitely not. And around 9 senior players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. I'm delighted with the news that Sanchez won't be coming back in this summer, even though Solskjaer said in January that Sanchez would have, you know, been coming back in the summer to prove everybody wrong, but I'm glad he's not. You know, very glad he's not. Dean Henderson, I hope he can come back to Man United after his loan spell with Sheffield United, so then we can make him our #1 goalkeeper. But yeah, so that's everything to update you with today, guys. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.